Hey everyone, Pete Calandra here. On today's video, we'll be taking a look at the second offering from a relatively new sample library company called Streamtech Music. The name of this library is Millenium French Organ. This is an instrument built in 2006 and found in the Saint-Jean-de-Malte Church in Aix-en-Provence, France. I hope I pronounced that correctly. This sampler instrument for contact player 7 and higher captures 28 unique stops and registrations. My history with organ playing has been relegated to pop, funk, soul, jazz organ styles using a Hammond-type organ. With this in mind, for this demo, I've spent some time doing some reading up and researching pipe organs. Let's do some housekeeping before we continue on with this. If you like this video, give a thumbs up. For more content, please subscribe, and to be notified, ring that bell. There'll be chapters down below so that you can navigate through this video with ease. Please leave any comments or questions. There's a link for Streamtech Music in the description box as well. Thank you so much for watching, and let's get right into it. A pipe organ works by driving pressurized air through a set of tubes, or for our purposes, pipes selected from the keyboard. Air inside the pipe begins to vibrate and produces a tone. It takes less time for a wave to go up and down a shorter pipe, so the vibration is faster. The faster the vibration, the higher the pitch. This means shorter pipes make higher sounds. A pipe can only produce one pitch, although some pipes are rich in overtones, which are additional pitches. More on that in a moment. They are put together in sets called ranks. Most organs have many ranks of pipes in differing pitches and timbres that are controlled by the player through things called stops. The term stop is derived from how the pipe organ creates sound. Air flowing through a pipe to create a sound can either be on, admitting the passage of air to certain pipes, or off, stopping the passage of air to certain pipes. The organ has either a stop tab or knob to control which pipes are activated. A pipe organ also has a series of pipes called either a register or a rank that can also be controlled by a single stop. For example, if you want to play octaves in your left hand, there would be a stop for that, allowing you to play single notes but hearing octaves. Registration is the art of combining stops to create a certain sound. The pitch of a set of pipes is determined by the number on the stop knob. 8 foot is considered the unison pitch and will be called 8-foot stop. The octave sounded by a given pipe is inversely proportional to its length. In other words, a 4-foot stop is 1 octave higher than an 8-foot stop, and a 16-foot stop is 1 octave lower than an 8-foot stop. There are ranks of stops that are not unison or octave intervals of the unison pitch. These are all based on the overtone series and are seldom used on their own, but in combination with the unison and octaves to create different timbres. The two most common are the 12th above, or an octave and a 5th, and then a 6th above that, or 2 octaves and a 3rd. These are the 3rd and 5th harmonics found in a sound. They are labeled 2 2/3 and 1 3/5. These are used in combinations to create different timbres. For example, the cornet sound is comprised of the fundamental, or the 8-foot stop, and the next 4 overtones, the 4, the 2 2/3, the 2, and the 1 3/5 pipe lengths. Now, getting back to the extra overtones on a single pipe, reed pipes have a metal tongue that vibrates against a brass tube called a shallot to produce the sound. The reed and shallot are inside the boot of the pipe. The sound is magnified by the resonator, which can be metal or wood. Reed resonators come in many shapes and sizes, all affecting the tone of the pipe. There are also other methods of affecting the airflow in a pipe to simulate other types of sounds, such as strings and woodwinds. For more information on that, I would suggest a Google search, as this is not intended to be a comprehensive treatise on pipe organs, but just an intro for the purposes of this library review. Okay, let's take a look here at the Millenium French organ GUI. I really like the way this looks. I like the color scheme. I like the hint of the ribs, the arches inside the church that you can see if you get close to that. It's really cool. It's broken up into 3 sections. You have the main page, which is this area up here. Then you've got the advanced page, which is right here. And then you've got the bottom page over here. We're just going to quickly go through these. I'm not going to play any examples now. If you want to hear the way this sounds, jump ahead in the timestamp. I've got 3 pieces written that we'll go through and we'll demonstrate how everything sounds, and we'll play around with these controls and also see how they work. So right here, you have a GUI of a mod wheel, and that goes up and down when you use the mod wheel. And what that controls is a low-pass filter, the amount of the low-pass filter or the frequency of it. And we'll hear that later. Right here, you have the articulation area, and because this only has sustained notes, you'd only see sustains here. If you look at their iconic violin, you'll see that they've got in this area here a bunch of boxes with different articulations. You'd see those change here. In this area here, we have our different microphone signals. The top row is panning. Then we've got our mixer for each one, and then we can turn each one on and off. When you turn off a mic signal, it purges all of those samples from contact. So that's kind of handy. Then if we go to the advanced, we have our options over here. You can control how long the release tails are. You can add some synthetic reverb. You've got 2 options here, enable layering, which means that you'll be able to select multiple stops. Niente when mod wheel down. When this is turned on, if you turn the mod wheel down, the sound goes down to nothing and then it fades up from there. And then high quality mode oversamples the sounds, and it sounds better and uses more CPU. At least that's what the manual says. You can play around with the range by dragging to the right and to the left. And then over here, you can play around with your latency. And then down here, you've got the actual volume for each of the 3 manuals or sound sources, which are down here. And then down here, you've got your 3 different organ registrations. I think that would be the correct way to say it. Anyway, it's the Grand Argue. And what this is, it's a powerful primary section of the organ. Then the Positif, and that is a more delicate division of the organ. And then the bottom is the pedalier, and those are the pedals. And you highlight them in order to see them. And then you've got the information tab here, which lets you know what's selected. So if we go up here, boom, you see how that changes? It lets you know all the sounds that are selected. The other thing is that the sounds are stacked from the softest to the loudest. So these are softer sounds than the ones found on the top row. Let's take a look at a few pieces I wrote, and then we'll play around with some of these options, and we'll see how they affect the sound. Okay, this first example is very short. It's only a few measures long, and I'm using the Positif flute 4. So it will sound an octave higher than I've got it written here. Okay, let's take a listen, and then we'll play around with some of the controls. Here we go. Please don't mind the Pro Tools notation. There are some enharmonic spellings that are wrong, and then I don't have it set up so that notes hold out all the way through, but you could certainly hear what was going on there. So that's this sound. It's really beautiful. Let's actually change the sound. We'll stay in the Positif because that's the more delicate and the piece is delicate. And let's do this. Let's add the Bourdon. And this will sound an octave lower now. And then let's change our microphone position. So instead of spot 1 and main, well, let's do outrigger and spot 2. Here we go. Okay, and you heard me play around with the mod wheel, which activated the low pass filter. Now let's close this down and let's do plein jeu. And let's see, do I have this enable layering? Okay, so that's on. So let's do the plein jeu. Actually, let's do this. Let's do the cornet and the flute. And this time we will do spot 1 and surround. Okay, so that didn't sound so good. And the reason why is you have to be careful when you're combining some of these stops, because the cornet, and we went over this in the intro, right? It's filled with upper harmonics, and the flute at 4 is an octave higher. So you're not getting anything that's giving you a really nice solid foundation. So let's do this. We'll do these two at 8, the cromorne and the bourdon and the cornet. So let's listen to this now. It should sound a little better. Much better. Let's just do the plein jeu, and let's add the pedal, sol bass 16 and sous bass 16, or sous bass 16 and flute 8. And we'll do the spot 1 and the main. We'll go back to that. All right, so you can see already that you're getting really, really wonderful pipe organ tones out of this. Let's move on to our next bit. So on this one, I'm using the Majestic Organ Symphony, and we've got the Grand Orgue, plein jeu, and trumpet 8. So this should be a fairly large sounding organ, and then it also is layering the plein jeu on the positif. Let's try spot 2 and the main. Let's turn off the positif and let's go through a couple of these Grand Orgue. Let's do the bourdon and prestant 4. So 8 and 4. So that'll be in octaves. Here we go. Yeah, so I'm going to add some bass notes to this. So let's just try this one here, sous bass and flute. Yeah, nice. Nice combination. Let's go back to the Grand Orgue and let's try Mantra 8, whatever this is here. And we'll turn the pedal off for the time being. Let's change to a more brassy sound. So let's try the trumpet 8 and cornet V. Yeah, actually, this didn't work because I didn't have it record enabled. So let's do this. And that'll work on my next pass through. So let's try the Bourdon 16 and the Pleasure. And then we'll do the Niente with the mod wheel down, and we'll play around with that. Let's just try our spot mic 1 and hear what that sounds like. Okay, you can hear how the mod wheel, when it was all the way down, there was no sound. I also muted the... Okay, great. Let's change this now to just the Pleasure and the Bourdon 16, and let's change just to spot 2. And let's move this up. I like spot 2 because the omnidirectional mics. And you know, the mics are a really nice combination of Neumann, Schoeps, and Audio Technicas. So they've got really high quality mics that they're using. So let's do this now. Our next bit, okay, on this next one, this is a very melodic piece. It's got the descending bass line. And I'm using this preset called Box Fugue Essence. And we've got... Let's try spot 2 and the main microphone. And basically, we've got the Grand Orgue, which is the jeu de 8 foot and 4 foot. And then what's the positif? It's the Pleasure. So let's take a listen to this, and then we'll do some playing around with it. Okay, great. So now let's change some of the sound, right? So instead of this bigger sound with the 4 foot and with the 8 foot, and the 4 foot, let's do just the 8 foot. And then let's go to the positif, and let's change this to the petit jeu that's a 0 prestant. Not sure what that is. And let's do just spot 2 this time. The low notes on this particular stop really have a Woody, Reedish kind of character. At some points, they sound a little bit like a bassoon, and at other points, they sound like a bass clarinet. So you could totally change the character of what you're playing by changing the stop combination, and it's basically you're orchestrating, right? Well, that first example, when I played it back, it was very majestic, almost like a, like a big ceremonial kind of a piece, and now it's a little bit more intimate. So really, you can do a lot of stuff with the registrations. All right, on this last example, I'm using 4 instances to change registrations. Now, I'm going to show you something before I sign off where you can use MIDI CC to change the registration, but right now, I've got 4 different instances set up here. So the top line is the epic toccata. The next one is the whispered echo. These are presets. Then solo trumpet, and then fins d'orgue. That's these chords down here at the bottom. So let's take a listen to this. In addition to changing the registration, I also did some automation with the mod wheel and with expression, so you could hear that there were some different dynamics. And by using this on multiple tracks, you can get some really dramatic effects, like going from this big, huge organ here to this very intimate and quiet registration, and then the middle section sounds very Satie-esque at times, and it sort of fits that style of music just for these bars here. The rest is not. Little Mussorgsky-esque kind of chord voicings here, and then the beginning is a kind of sort of Bach-y kind of a thing, but not. But let me just show you one last thing before I sign off on this. Let me open this up. Let's say I right-click on this, Learn MIDI CC Automation. So let me get this in Record, Learn MIDI CC Automation. So I've got this here, and I've got my Nano Control too, so I'm just going to tweak one of the knobs. Okay, that's great. And then on this one here, another knob, great. And then with this one here, another knob, and this one here, another knob, and this one here, another knob. So I've got 5 knobs here. Let's see. Okay, so I can turn these all on and off just by twisting the knob or the control surface. So you can play something in and then automate your registrations. So that's kind of cool also. Okay, so that's the end of this. I hope you've enjoyed this. I think this is an excellent sample library. It's reasonably priced. It's beautifully scripted. The sounds are recorded with really great attention to detail. You've got multiple microphone placements. If you need organ in your film scores, which is what this is sort of targeted towards, this is a great option, and I'm thankful to have it. All right, everyone. Please like, subscribe, share, leave any comments. I've been Pete Calandra. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.